you know, I'm absolutely gobsmacked because this plumber that came, I'm not kidding, over what, 2 years or a year we had a leak and we could not get him to come back.
What's up guys, I thought I'd make this video because it might be interesting for some of you. But yesterday one of my good customers asked me if I would go to his sister's house, which was not in my area, probably about a 45-minute drive, to quote her for a new boiler because she'd had a plumber around and he condemned the boiler and told her she needed a new one. Now luckily me and Marcus were working together that day and we were working within about 10 minutes of this property. We were in Nottingham, so I agreed to go around and give her a quote. Now, what I will do when someone asks me to quote for a new boiler, if it's just we want a new boiler, then that's fine. I'll go with the mind to quoting. But if they ring me and say my boiler's broken or it's not working and I need a new one, I'll always go in with the mind of, can I fix this boiler? Is it going to be a simple fix? Or I want to know what's wrong with it before I do the quote. So me and Marcus turned up, went in with a servicing bag with an idea to seeing if we could fix it. So she told us a bit of the story. She'd moved in 2 weeks ago. She got no heating and hot water, and she called a plumber around, a guy that she'd used previously, and he told her she needed a new boiler. So we went through a few steps. The first thing we did was check there was gas on because she'd only just moved in. Maybe the gas wasn't on. Asked her if it had ever worked, stuff like that. Got a bit of background information. So we established there was gas on at the meter. We established there was gas to the gas valve on the boiler. And then the next step was to take the case off the boiler. Now, when we did this, she said the other plumber didn't do that. So he didn't take the case off the boiler. So he's not tried to repair it. I think he's just looked at it, the age of it, and thought, I can get a new boiler out of this. Now, because we're so busy at the minute, if it needed a new boiler, I would have quoted her, but I couldn't do it for probably 3 weeks' time. So it's also benefits me to try and repair it, because then it will get her going, give her the heat and hot water, and then maybe in the future, if she does need a new boiler, she's going to come to me because I've repaired the one that she was told was unrepairable. So this is the job we did. There was so many things wrong. She'd had a new programmer fitted by her partner, who's an electrician. That was wrong, so we had to sort that out. There was a 2-port valve in the airing cupboard that was stuck open. We had to swap that. But within an hour, we'd got it all sorted, all working. She didn't have to pay out for a new boiler. I don't have to squeeze a new boiler install in because I've got no time anyway, and I've hopefully gained a loyal customer out of it. So this is the job. So this is the boiler that we're working on. Now the issue we've got is that the pilot light won't light, and obviously the boiler won't fire up. Now with the cover on and trying to spark and light the pilot light, I could see the spark through the viewing window, but it wasn't lighting the pilot. So what I've done now is took the cover off, and I'm pressing the gas valve push button in, and I'm using the spark generator, and we are getting a spark, and the spark looks okay. It's sparking near the pilot, but it's not lighting the flame. Now the other plumber at this point, he didn't take the cover off or anything. He just tried to light it without the cover off and told her that she needed a new boiler. But surely as a gas engineer, you want to check the simple things. So that's all we're doing, is checking the pilot. And you can see there with the torch, we've lit it straight away. So the issue is with the spark generator. That spark isn't warm enough to light the gas, so they need a new spark generator or a spark electrode. But with that pilot lit now, once we've waited for the thermocouple to warm up, the boiler works. Now we come to the second problem. The programmer is saying off, but the boiler's fired up. So we've got a wiring issue. Now I found out from the customer that programmer is new.
That's just been put in. I mean, this is wired up wrong way.
And then when it's on, it's off.
That's my partner, who's an electrician. He doesn't live here, but...
Right, sort that out.
And then the third problem at this property was the 2-port valve was stuck open. You can see the condition of it, but it was stuck open. So whenever the hot water came on, the radiators would come on with it. So that needs replacing. We're just going to swap the motor head though. The valves move in freely. So basically undo the 2 screws that hold the valve motor onto the body, and that will push on. So it's a Honeywell valve straight onto the body, or the old body. And then we're going to wire this back in now. They're only using the brown switch live, neutral and earth. They're not using the grey or the orange. So on an S plan, we would have the grey would be the permanent live and the orange would be the switch live to the boiler. But this valve doesn't bring the boiler on. All it does is when it gets a feed on the brown, is it opens that valve. So we need to have the hot water on to fire the boiler, to spin the pump, and all the switch live to the valve does is open the valve. So now we're looking at the back plate, and we've got to work out what has gone wrong, what cable does what, and which one's in the wrong spot. So you can see on the back of the programmer, he's put one into hot water off, central heating off, and hot water on. Nothing in central heating on. So we're just trying putting one wire into central heating on, because it was reversed. It was going on when it was off and off when it was on. So we're going to put that in, drop the programmer back on, and see what happens. Oh, so they're both off.
Yeah, all is off. Just killed the power to the pump and stirred it.
Turn that off. That's backwards as well.
It's heating. Yeah, but...
So now we need to check what this brown wire that we've taken out is. Luckily, I keep a Wago on my keyring. So we're just going to blank that off and then pop the programmer back on and see what happens when we select hot water and then central heating. So at the minute, in that back plate, we've got hot water on and central heating on. So suspicion is this one that we've blanked off now is our pump live. So we just want to see what happens with the programmer and the boiler and see if the pump comes on when we do it.
Right.
So we need to check the pumps come on.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. You go and check if the pumps come on. On. No. Nope. You are? Nothing at the pump. So that brown's the pump live. So we've worked out the brown is the pump live. So we've linked that in with number 3, which is hot water on. And we've also got the switch live to the 2-port valve in central heating on. Nothing in hot water off and nothing in central heating off. The issue we've got now is with just central heating selected, the boiler and the pump won't get the switch live. And we do that from the programmer itself. So if we look at the instruction manual for this dual channel programmer, it will give us a wiring diagram, but it will also give us the features of this programmer. And it gives you options like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 5-day, 2-day, stuff like that. But you also can do independent operation and linked operation. So linked operation means that central heating comes on at the same time as the hot water. And you can do that with these little jumpers in the back. You can change them over. So you've got linked times, independent times, 24-hour day, 7-day program, pumped and gravity, and all that's in the instruction manual. Okay, so we've got hot water on its own, boiler fires, pumps on, and then heating on automatically brings hot water on with it because that's where the pump live is. The boiler fires obviously and the pump comes on. Right.
Let's go and I'm going to check the pumps running then.
Yeah.
And then if you turn the heating on, it should bring the motorised valve on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On. Cool. Let's got to the bottom of that mystery.
Really?
Yeah. So he'd wired this all up wrong. So basically, when we put on this system, you've only got a 2-port valve which opens for the heating, but your hot water has to be on with the heating. So now when you press the heating, it brings the hot water on at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's going to work properly now. And we've put you a new zone valve on, so everything should work.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm absolutely gobsmacked because this plumber that came, I'm not kidding, over what, 2 years or a year we had a leak and we could not get him to come back. He came and looked at me and he couldn't get back. Too busy, always too busy. We can do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Friday. 2 days, tomorrow and Friday. So that doesn't make sense. Well, the sense it makes is that he'll do this, but he wouldn't do the other little jobs.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like looking for a leak. Which we can't do.
Right. Bear with me on this, but I've drawn a basic diagram of the system at this property. I'm going to try and explain what went wrong and what we did and why we did it. So the system they've got, a boiler, heat only boiler downstairs, cylinder upstairs, and the only external component parts are the pump and the 2-port valve for the central heating. Now, what they've done in the wiring centre, now the boiler needs a switch live, so we've not got it yet, but we need a switch live, and the pump needs a live or a switch live to run. And that comes from the programmer. So what he had done is he'd put the wire that we would say for central heating on in central heating off, so that was wrong. He'd put the pump live into hot water off, and he'd put hot water on, I think was the only one that was right in number 3. So there was a lot to change around in here. But the proper way that the way we changed it to was to put the pump live, this one here, in to number 3 with hot water on. And the boiler switch live in, let's go from, let's just do it here, into number 3. So we link those two together. Then the only other wire we had was the black wire, which linked in with the brown on the 2-port to open the 2-port, and that went into central heating on, so number 4. So take that up to, sorry about this drawing guys, to the valve. Because the way the system's been wired, we don't need hot water off, and we definitely don't need central heating off. So that's what we did. Now you'll notice if we used the programmer just as it came standard in the box, which is what the chap had done, and we just selected central heating on, all that would do is open that valve. It wouldn't put power onto the boiler and it wouldn't put power onto the pump, so nothing would happen on the central heating side. So on this programmer you need to move the jumper to link them together so that the heating and hot water both come on at the same time, so they're interlinked. Once we've done that, when you select central heating on, which normally would put the live onto terminal 4, it puts it onto 3 as well, so you get both. So you can have hot water on its own, but when you put central heating on, it also puts the live onto hot water on, and that's what brings in the boiler and the pump.